Morning. It is time to once again take a look at the forecast for the rest of the day today, and we do have winter weather back in the forecast for this afternoon. So we are going to talk a little bit more about what we're expecting to see for the rest of the day today, and then what's kind of out there right now, what's changed since last night, just go through everything that we need to know for the rest of today, and we'll touch a little bit on tomorrow morning's extreme cold warning as well. We've got so many winter weather alerts, sometimes it's hard to keep track of. So I'm going to go ahead and keep these graphics full screen, and we will just go ahead and jump into it. So across the area this morning, I will go ahead and say there is not necessarily, unless it's maybe a light flurry, but it really doesn't look, at least from the satellite and radar, like there's anything going on in our area. You're looking at the downtown Macon Skycam right now. Certainly nothing as far south as Macon, or as far west, I should say, at the moment. But there have been a couple of reports in the National Weather Service chat about far north Georgia, seeing at least a couple of light flurries. So Alex and I have been trying to figure out this morning where on the radar we're actually seeing stuff, and if there's any sky cams that coordinate with those areas. We have not really had much luck so far. So in terms of things to see at the moment, is not really a ton right now. But as we kind of head into the mid-morning hours, so closer to 8 a.m., that's when we should start to see things popping up on the radar. And also, that's when we'll have a little bit more light outside to hopefully get some more visibility in these areas that we're looking for snowfall. So these are all of our 4 sky cams. Nothing going on here at the moment, but fairly soon the temperatures will be pretty consistent and we will be able to support any sort of snowfall here in our area. You can see up in North Georgia, that is already the case. They have temperatures in the 30s up there and even in the Atlanta area. And then here in the Macon area, we're sitting at 33, so very close. And in fact, this is probably going to be the high temperature for the day. Blue Ridge. Okay, Alex just found a sky cam for us. I'll pull it up. It looks like this is in Blue Ridge, which is in North Georgia. And you can definitely see, I mean, that to me is accumulation, Alex. You too? Yeah. All right, so they have already got some accumulation up there, and you can see occasionally light flurries falling in that area. And yeah, I mean, that's definitely our first look at some snowfall. If I flip it over to the satellite and radar, you can kind of see we've been able to pick up the best on these flurries when we're kind of on this view, as opposed to just our local radars. This is kind of a southeast looking radar, and you can see these are flurries that we're looking at here on the radar up there in North Georgia. Now you can see nothing really stretches as far south as central Georgia at the moment, but these northern counties are definitely getting at least accumulating flurries at this point, probably trace amounts at the moment, but that accumulation will continue as we go into the rest of the day today. So that's what the satellite and radar looks like. Again, that is where the temperatures are cold enough to support this at the moment. Where's that one? Dalton. Okay. So another North Georgia county is this sky cam that we're looking at here, Dalton, Georgia. And yeah, I mean, that is pretty decent looking accumulation, both on the sidewalks and on the roads as well. But it does look like at least their kind of main roadway is holding up. There is, dang, Dalton with these flurries, it's actually accumulating pretty well. And I think this is kind of going to be the theme for today. We've got this super dry snow out there. So the accumulation, even with just a little bit of flurries, actually ends up kind of looking pretty impressive. That is really quite cool, and it's blowing right at the sky cam so you can see it as it actually falls. So that's what's going on in North Georgia. Again, this kind of gives us a picture of what things could look like once we start to see a few flurries here in our area. Remember, I just showed you the satellite and radar. That's what it looks like at the moment. Where you can see those flurries falling up in North Georgia, and nothing that really quite gets as far south as central Georgia here. But as we continue into the rest of the morning, we will eventually begin to see some snowfall here in our area as well. So like I mentioned, temperature wise, we are just about to be there in terms of freezing temperatures here in our area. And this 33 degrees that we're sitting at here in Macon will actually be the high temperature for the day. We're not going to get any warmer than this. It's going to be one of those situations where temperatures, instead of climbing today, are going to be falling, not only because we'll have a reinforcement of cooler air as snow falls, but also because this whole system is dragging in cooler air from the northwest. You can see we've got some northwesterly flow into our western counties here, but notice we do have some easterly flow coming into our eastern counties here. So this is actually going to end up being really, really important. I want to touch on this for just a moment here. When we look specifically at the winds, when you can kind of see that we have this axis where these two winds are converging right across our eastern counties here. This is going to be really important to the forecast through the rest of the morning and kind of into the rest of the day as well. Where these winds end up meeting each other, so these easterly winds end up meeting these northwesterly winds, this is going to create some lift in the atmosphere, and this is actually where heavier snowfall amounts could occur. So we've been talking a little bit over the last couple of days about different bands embedded within this potential snowfall, and this could potentially end up being one of those snowfall bands. So this area where the winds are what we call converging, so they're meeting from two different directions, is going to be one that we pay attention to heavily throughout the rest of this morning, because this could end up being where snowfall totals are a little bit heavier compared to the rest of our area. So I just want to point that out for you early on. We will be watching that throughout the rest of the morning. It'll be kind of interesting to see how this line of convergence lines up with snowfall that falls throughout the rest of today. So with a little bit of a breeze out there as well, the temperatures are already feeling like well below freezing. We're feeling like the 20s, and again, this is only going to get worse throughout the rest of the day as well. Wind gusts today are going to be really strong, and it is going to be really, really cold through the rest of this afternoon. But satellite and radar wise, again, we kind of looked at that up there in North Georgia. What you're looking at here is the kind of whole circulation that's coming into our area. We've got this low pressure system that's going to be dragging this further into the Carolinas, and that will eventually result in some snowfall here across our area. But at the moment here in central Georgia, it does not look like we have anything right now. So playing the kind of large scale future view through here to show you where the impacts are going to be a little bit heavier, of course, over in the Carolinas. But this system is still expected to graze our eastern counties mainly, and even potentially cause some light snowfall amounts a little further to the west on our I-75 corridor. That's through the rest of today, and then it moves out as we head into the late night hours tonight, and it is all said and done by the time we head into overnight tonight and early Sunday morning. So we are going to take a look at the graph and the HER model. These are kind of the two that I'm partial to at this point in time, and I'm going to kind of talk you through where things stand in terms of snowfall for the rest of the day today. So right now we're looking at the graph model, and over the last run or so, the graph model has really kind of taken this center of low pressure a little bit further to the east. So you're going to see less coverage compared to yesterday with this specific model. Overall, the thinking here is still generally the same. Accumulation totals are going to be higher over towards the north and the east. The further west you push, yes, we could still be talking about flurries or light accumulations, but overall the actual totals are going to end up being a little bit lower. I think snowfall is still on the table for just about everybody, but again, in terms of accumulation, remember, this is kind of one of those bands. This is what I was talking about with the winds. Notice, actually, this is a great example. On the graph here, it has these winds coming in from the east and these winds coming in from the northwest, and that kind of band of heavier snowfall is right where these winds converge. So that's what I was just talking about on the wind gust map just a few minutes ago. So the graph may have this a little bit further to the east. If this is a little further to the west, then that heavier snowfall band will actually end up being across our area. So that just kind of is a little bit of a callback there. I wanted to show you that because that's what I was talking about just a moment ago. But playing the graph model through, again, continuously throughout the day, it looks like our eastern counties are going to see this. There could be periods throughout the afternoon where our western counties are getting in on some of the action, but the actual kind of consistent snowfall throughout the day will be confined over to the east. Then we get into Saturday evening and Saturday late night, and this whole system has moved out of our area, but it leaves behind these really, really gusty winds, and that is going to play a huge role in how temperatures feel late tonight and as you wake up early tomorrow morning. So that's kind of the second part of this story, but we're on the snowfall part right now, so we'll keep talking about that. What you'll notice here with the HER model, which is another high resolution model, is that the coverage here looks to be a little bit further to the west. So you saw the graph didn't really have great coverage. The HER tries to bring this coverage in a little bit further to the west, but notice same kind of thinking where you see darker coloration here. That means that this could be a little bit heavier snowfall. Totals are still expected to be a little higher over here towards the east, and then over towards the west, we're talking about flurries or trace amounts, up to an inch at best over in those areas. Again, same kind of thing here. That heavier band could be right along that axis of winds converging, and then over to the west, it's really just lighter amounts. You're going to hear me say that a lot because that is really the general thinking as we go throughout the rest of the day. Obviously, I'll show you the winter storm warning and winter weather advisory here in a minute, and that is going to be the same thinking as well. So like I said, kind of more consistent throughout the daytime over in the eastern counties. In the west, it may be kind of on and off, touch and go as we go throughout the rest of the day, but either way, heading into Sunday late nights or Saturday late night, Saturday overnight, that's when this whole thing will be out of our area, and it won't be a Sunday situation aside from what's left over. So with that in mind, again, we looked at the large future view just a minute ago. Obviously, most of the impacts are going to be over here in the Carolinas, closer to that center of circulation with the low pressure. We are kind of being grazed by the edge of this, and so this is what our current winter weather alerts look like. It is a winter storm warning for the counties that are over to the north and the east, and a winter weather advisory for counties that are closer to the I-75 corridor. So what that means is kind of what I was saying when we were looking at the future view. The snowfall totals are expected to be a little bit higher over to the north and the east, these counties that are closer to the center of circulation and will likely receive more snowfall throughout the day today. We're talking here in our area between 1 to 3 inches. That is kind of the latest projection from the National Weather Service, and that is still the thinking as of early this morning. Now over in this advisory area, it's maybe a little bit of a step down. Like I showed you there on the future view just a minute ago, it's not really going to be a consistent snowfall situation all day long. They definitely could see some snow, these counties, but overall at the end of the day, this is going to amount to lower totals. In the heaviest spots here in the areas that are in purple, we're talking about up to an inch. At least this is the latest guidance from the National Weather Service. So this is just kind of the general pattern. You need to think that these counties have the potential to see some higher amounts. These counties here in purple are probably looking at lower amounts, traced to about up to an inch. And that's going to be reiterated here with this graphic. You know, this whole thing, all these graphics are basically going to kind of reiterate the same story, but that is that, you know, the totals will be higher, closer to that center of circulation, and then the further out you go, we're talking more about trace amounts to maybe up to an inch. Now, there are a few counties here in our area that are not included in any sort of winter weather alert. That would be Taylor, Macon, Dooley, Crisp, and Wilcox County. So they could have, you know, maybe a flurry or two, but overall these counties probably won't see much and probably won't see anything that really accumulates. So I like this graphic. Our meteorologist David Guerrero and Alex Pry have been working on this together over the last few days, and I think it does a really good job kind of explaining how things will go through the rest of today. Similar graphic, but this one is by the National Weather Service. This is just actually straight from their National Weather Service chat that they sent us this. And again, it is the same kind of thing that I just showed you. T means trace, so trace amounts to up to an inch in those counties that are outlined in the winter weather advisory, the purple counties. Higher amounts, 1 to 3 inches in the heavier spots in those areas that are in the winter storm warning. And again, this is the official guidance from the National Weather Service, so pretty in line with our forecast as well. One more thing on totals, just to kind of, again, keep showing you the trends. I wouldn't really get too hung up here with the graph on actual numbers. The graph future view snowfall totals kind of end up going back and forth based on different model runs. So don't necessarily pay too much attention to the numbers, but I want you to pay attention more to the trends. Again, heavier amounts over in those eastern counties and the lighter, more trace amounts the further out to the west that you go. Again, these counties not outlined in the winter weather advisory, but they could potentially see at least a couple of flurries throughout today. So again, similar thinking from kind of all the guidance that we have here. I wanted to bring this up just quickly. This is not really a major part of this forecast, but last weekend we were talking a lot about freezing rain. A lot of our graphics were that pink color. And I wanted to just kind of talk about this for a brief second because we are well into the snow category today. So one thing that's kind of more certain is that we're not really watching for the potential for this mixed precip situation. Our atmosphere is pretty cold at every single level. So we are pretty confidently cold enough to support snowfall instead of being, you know, in this mixed precip, freezing rain to sleet area. And that is kind of emphasized as well by the temperatures that we have out there and that we'll have at the surface through today. Now, this graph model tends to keep these numbers a little bit warm, but I wanted to show you that the high temperature that we are going to hit today has basically already happened. Temperatures are going to be falling through the afternoon, and this snowfall will reinforce any cold air that's already out there. So temperatures get colder through the day today. When we would normally be seeing the high temperature for this afternoon, temperatures are actually going to be somewhere in the mid-20s. And remember, there will also be a little bit of a breeze out there as well. That's going to have these feels like numbers down also. One thing that I actually have received this question a lot over the last couple of days, but folks have been asking me if the feels like number is down, below freezing, but the air temperature is above freezing, could we still have snowfall? So actually the actual air temperature has to be below freezing. It's not really the feels like number. That is just how things are going to feel on your skin. The air temperature has to be below freezing for there to be actual snowfall, but that will be the case heading into the rest of the day. But I just wanted to address that quickly because last weekend I got that question a lot, and I've had it a couple times throughout this week as well. So just to bring you some clarity on that. And then of course we head into early Sunday morning. Our temperatures are in the teens, and wind gusts are going to have those numbers in the single digits. So starting this afternoon, when that wind starts to pick up, we are in an extreme cold warning that starts this afternoon and goes until Sunday afternoon. Like I just said, the wind chills through the rest of today and into early tomorrow morning. We'll drop the feels like numbers a good bit. By tomorrow morning, we have some spots that could feel like 0 degrees. So playing this through on the future view wind gusts, I'm talking about wind gusts today that are around 35 miles an hour. In some spots, they could even be a little bit higher than that. When we look at the shading, we are certainly in these pinks and purples. These wind gusts here across our area are going to get pretty strong through the rest of today. So very gusty even just today, and then we stay gusty through the rest of the night tonight, and we kick off early tomorrow morning with wind gusts that are not as bad as what we'll see this afternoon, but still enough to play a role on the feels like numbers into the morning and then all the way into Sunday afternoon as well. So of course, like I've been saying a few times, that's going to have the feels like numbers down a good bit, even starting today. So if you see some snowfall today and you're looking to be outside, just be aware it is going to be really cold. It's not like what we had 2 weekends ago where our temperatures were just at freezing and we had no real breeze. This is going to be a totally different story. Our temperatures are going to be well below freezing, and we're going to have a very strong breeze. So the feels like numbers through today are going to be in the teens. This is going to be important. You definitely want to bundle up if you're going to try to be outside today, especially if you catch any snowfall. And this is also going to be important because windy conditions are going to cause some visibility issues in areas that do receive some snowfall. Meteorologist David Guerrero talked about this last night as well. If there is strong winds and snow falling in your area, it is very important to stay off of the roads. I know that snow sticking to the ground obviously is a concern when we have snowfall, but also decreased visibility just from strong winds and snow falling at the same time will be a concern today as well. So something else to mention, it's not only how it's going to impact the temperatures, but also how it could impact your visibility through the rest of the day today. So it's really Sunday morning. That is going to be the true kicker. I don't think we've had feels like numbers quite this bad so far this season. Yes, we had some pretty cold numbers earlier this week and last week, but feels like numbers down in the single digits, close to 0 degrees, are going to be brutal tomorrow morning. So this is how you will start your day tomorrow morning. If you are still heading out to church in the morning, or you have other various things that you want to get done on Sunday, bundle up. No amount of layers is going to be dramatic tomorrow morning. It will be frigid. And then even as we head into the afternoon, we will still feel like we are below freezing through the entire day on Sunday. So very cold temperatures through the entire day, honestly today, and through the entire day tomorrow as well. And I'm actually going to quickly pull up Facebook because I do not know if we are live on Facebook or not. Okay, we are. So I wanted to make sure that if there's questions, I could address those as well. Okay, so I see a couple questions about if the advisories or if the warnings could change. I will say that yesterday, these already took a pretty big change. So yesterday, the warnings actually only extended for our northeastern counties. And then in the afternoon yesterday, they made a huge change and they expanded it into the majority of our area. So at this point in time, the only thing that would really change these advisories and warnings is as snow is falling. If the National Weather Service starts to see more snow falling here in these purple areas, they may change these to a pink, but it would really be a situation that would be happening as it's unfolding. In terms of getting us ahead of time, this is the guidance that we will probably have through the rest of this morning. And again, the biggest change was yesterday when they added so many more counties here in our area to this advisory. So I don't expect any major changes with this unless snow starts falling a little bit further to the west. But overall, I do think this is kind of generally where they're going to leave things for the rest of this morning. And in terms of counties being taken out, they don't usually do that until, again, events are unfolding. So in terms of forecasting and preparation, I think this is a pretty good idea of what both us here at WMAZ and the National Weather Service is kind of thinking for the rest of this afternoon. So I don't expect to see any major changes with that, at least through, the next couple of hours until we actually start to see some snowfall here in our area. Again, the big takeaway with that is that accumulating snowfall is likely in the warning and advisory, but there's going to be a lot higher totals over in the warning and much lower totals in the advisory. There's flurries potentially possible in counties like Taylor, Macon, Dooley, Crisp, and Wilcox, but I do think that we're talking more about the counties that are under some sort of weather watch. Let me see if I can find any more questions, and then I think if not, I'm gonna hop off because we are going to continue doing streams coming up here. Alex Pry is here with me as well, and we are both going to be coming live again at 7 a.m. So there will be another opportunity to talk again at 7. And then we will be doing an extended version of our 13 WMAZ News at 9 a.m. starting at 8. So basically, similar to last weekend, every hour on the hour, there will be a way to receive updates and information. So I think with that being said and those couple of questions addressed, this is where I'm going to leave it for right now. We will kind of leave the satellite and radar up for you in case you want to watch the snow that's coming into North Georgia at the moment. And other than that, again, Alex Pry and I will both continue getting ready, and we will be back at 7 a.m. with any updates and changes, and then we will be back every hour on the hour. So thank you for joining me this morning. Again, I will leave you with this satellite and radar, and we will see you coming up here in just over 30 minutes.